Welcome to the Katie Wellness Show, where you get the tools, knowledge, and inspiration you need to transform your health and wellness, body, mind, and spirit. You'll learn holistic and practical wellness strategies that empower you to reclaim your health and fully step into your power. You belong here as you learn to tap into your intuition to support your body every step of the way. Let go of what's no longer serving you and teach these tools and strategies to your family to raise emotionally and physically resilient children. Welcome back to the Katie Wellness Show. I am your host, Lindsey Katie, and I'm really glad to be with you this week. I have not been feeling well. My kids have not been feeling well. And while this is all still fresh in my mind, today's episode, I'm going to be talking about tools to help moms when you have sick kids or when you yourself are sick. And a couple of things just to clarify. You should always follow your doctor's recommendation. And also your motherly intuition. I'm just going to put that out there. I am not a doctor. I am not a physician. So this is just trial and error. What has worked for me, what helps me to feel better, what helps my kids to feel better. And just encouragement that don't feel like you have to run to the doctor for every illness, unless your motherly intuition is telling you to do that. We discredit ourselves so much, or are told in our society to trust the professionals. But there is a significant amount of motherly intuition that we can have to be more in tune with our kids and know what they need. So I'm just going to share with you some of the things that have really helped us as we have gone through kind of a week or two of flu-type illness involving vomiting, diarrhea, and body aches. Again, this is not a chronic thing. Typically, my kids are pretty healthy. We don't get sick very often. So when we do, we pull out all the stops. And also what worked last time my kids were sick might not work this time. So just be willing to be open and be flexible. The number one thing that I use for illness is rest. And it's pretty common sense, right? This is pretty common sense. The more that we rest, the better we're going to feel. And it's also hard to do in our fast-paced society. And this is probably one of the most healing things that we can do for our bodies is when we're not feeling well, when we're sick, is resting. Many of us have our worth tied up in how productive we can be throughout the day, and changing that mindset, changing that programming. I've had to change the programming. I've done many processes on how to detach my worth from my productivity. So that's like a whole nother episode, a whole nother podcast that I'm not going to dive deep into. But just if you resonate with that, know that there is help and that you can change that programming. But resting is one of the most healing things that you can do, like truly resting, like taking baths. That's another thing that I use when my kids are sick or when I am not feeling well. A bath with magnesium salts or Epsom salts and Digest Zen essential oil. And I love, love, love to use my Therasage ozone bubbler in the bath. And you just stick the ozone bubbler right in the water. You'd never want to breathe the ozone just through the air, but once it's passed through the water, it kind of neutralizes it, so it's safe to breathe. But there are lots of benefits to having an ozone bath. Another thing, so also along with the bath is sweating it out. So getting the water warm enough that it's raising your body's temperature. Something that's pretty amazing when we raise the body's temperature, either through a hot bath or a sauna, is that we make an uncomfortable environment for any bacteria or virus in your body. And when you do that, the virus or bacteria wants to leave. So there are huge benefits in taking detox baths or just hot baths or a sauna to sweat it out. That's another huge thing. And also, a bath is just really relaxing. It helps your muscles to relax. And this one helped my kids immensely, either a bath or a shower. There's so many healing properties when it comes to water, that a bath or a shower help immensely. A heating pad was another thing that really helped me and my kids this time. Just having it on our bellies, on our backs, wherever it was kind of hurting or we were holding tension, the heating pad just helped to help us feel comfortable, help us feel comforted, and kind of ease some of that pain and that cramping that was coming from all the digestive upset. Making sure that the body stays hydrated is another really important part, especially when you're losing so many fluids. And I really like the Just Ingredients electrolytes. Electrolytes help your cells to hold more water. It helps to unlock your cells so the hydration, so the water can get in deeper. So electrolytes are really important for cellular health. And if your cells are strong, they have more power, I guess maybe you could call it, more power to fight the enemy, right? The bacteria or that virus or whatever it is that's causing your body to feel so sick. And then another thing to have on hand. So we ended up having to run to the grocery store to get some of these things. And when we got there, I was looking for saltine crackers because that is something that helped me growing up. That's something that my husband was like, yes, this really helped me. We should get some of these. And looking at the options for saltine crackers, I was kind of discouraged. And looking at some of the ingredients that are in crackers, I was appalled. I don't typically buy those crackers because I know they're more expensive. If we need crackers, I'll make them, or I'll buy specific brands. But as far as like the Ritz crackers or saltine crackers or club crackers, I was not impressed with the ingredients that were in those. We did end up buying some saltine crackers because they were like the lesser evil, maybe you could say, but they were a big hit with my kids, with settling their stomachs and helping them to feel good, introducing foods again. Rice cakes were another thing that we had on hand, some Cheerios. A big one that we kind of went back to again and again was gluten-free toast with grass-fed butter. So listen, these foods are carb heavy. They are not super nutrient dense. But when I was feeling super duper sick, I really didn't want to eat anything. But I did find that these foods helped to settle my stomach a little bit. And it also helped to kind of continue to move things through my system. And this was at a point where I was no longer throwing up, but maybe had more loose stools, or my kids were dealing with some of those problems. So you won't hear me say it very often, but these really carb heavy foods, maybe not the most nutrient dense. I know that when you're sick, your body needs nutrients, but digesting a carrot sounded horrible at the time. And then we slowly worked up to, we had some oatmeal with some honey in it. We had lots of tea, like herbal teas. And eventually we worked up to soup. So like a puree type soup, like a tomato basil soup, or I have a really good like potato, zucchini, spinach soup. So those were things that helped as we introduced food back in to try and get more of the nutrient dense foods. But for 1 or 2 days of the saltine crackers and the rice cakes and the toast and the Cheerios, it's more important that you are fueling your body and helping to push the bacteria out, in my opinion, right? Again, I'm not a doctor, so this is not medical advice. This is just as a mom, practically what has worked for me to help me feel better when I was going through this and to help my kids feel better. So this next one is not necessarily a tried and true, but I did try it and it seemed to have really positive benefits. So I love essential oils. doTERRA is the kind that I use most often. You don't have to use that kind for us to be friends. You don't even have to use essential oils for us to be friends, but I used a drop or two of ginger and a drop or two of peppermint and a carrier oil. And I rubbed that behind my kids' ears. That's supposed to help with nausea. And the very last thing, I just want to offer you encouragement. When your kids are sick, especially, be there for them. Yes, vomiting is gross. Yes, diarrhea stinks. But don't yell at your kids or punish them for being sick. If you are in a place where you cannot be emotionally regulated, then you need to remove yourself from the situation until you can come back and be calm. Your kids don't want to be sick, and they especially don't want to be yelled at, right? At this time, they need extra comfort and they need love right now. So find ways to be a bit more tender for them. I think showing your kids that you love them and that they are not an inconvenience is probably one of the best things that you can do to help your kids get over their sickness, to make it them feel like they're not an inconvenience or they're not the worst thing on the planet. These are human challenges, right? Vomiting and diarrhea, and like they are human conditions. And the more comfort and love that we can give them, if we're not like, oh, gross, you're sick, I can't come near you, I can't be anywhere near you. Like, take the steps that you need to prevent yourself from getting sick, but also be there for your kids. That is one of the best gifts my mom gave me when I was sick. Is I always felt comforted. I always felt cared for. She was asking me, what do you need? She made sure I had a throw up bowl. She made sure I was warm or cold or had blankets, and I try and show up that same way for my kids because it made such a positive impact for me. Looking back, I don't remember specific experiences. I just remember feeling loved and comforted, and that I wasn't an inconvenience, even if my parents were having to shampoo the carpet or shampoo the couch at 3:00 in the morning because I got sick. Those times have stayed with me. And that says a lot, right? We want our kids to know that their sickness isn't a punishment. And we don't want them to add that stress to being sick. Take care of it as an adult. And if you can't, then you need to change your programming. You need to do some emotional regulation tools, some nervous system regulation tools. You can do tapping, you can do breath work or meditation, or just go for a walk, right? Or scream into a pillow, whatever you need to do, but do not take it out on your kids, even though it's gross and it's inconvenient and it seems like maybe it seems like your kids are always sick. Don't yell at your kids. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but seriously, be there for your kids. Give them extra comfort, give them extra loves, find ways to be just a bit more tender. I know that is really, really, really hard to do when you're low on sleep. One of the nights when my kids were sick, all three of my boys were sick all night long. And it seemed like when one would finish puking and we'd get it cleaned up, then the next one would start. And we were in a hotel room and we weren't at home. We didn't have our normal things. And we didn't have our normal things. We didn't have the bath with the magnesium salts and the ozone bubbler. And I didn't have my red light sauna. And we were limited on the easy to digest foods that we had. I didn't have my essential oils, like these specific ones with me. but I could be there. I could be there for them. I could be rubbing their back. I could be getting a cold towel for their head or for their back, getting them cooled off in any way that I can. And I just want to say two quick things. Again, I want to preface this by saying I'm not a doctor, but you have to be aware of quick fixes, right? It can be very tempting to reach for the Tylenol when your child has a fever. But the fever's job is raise the body's temperature and create an uncomfortable environment for the bacteria or the virus so it can be killed quicker, right? There is a reason for that. And there are ways that you can cool the body down, like cool baths or cold towels on the head, going for walks outside if it's cool enough. There are things that you can do, and I am not against Tylenol, but I just want to encourage you that there are things that you can do that don't mess with the gut like Tylenol does. The other thing is be aware of anti-diarrhea medications or anti-vomiting medications, because your body is so amazing and so smart that it uses those avenues to get rid of the bacteria and the virus. Whatever it is that's bugging your body knows I've got to get it out. So it's going to push it out as quickly as it can, hence the diarrhea or hence the vomiting. And if you take a medication to stop that, you are keeping those bugs, that virus, whatever your body is trying to detox, you're keeping it in your body longer. So just a couple of things to be aware of. There is a place and a time to use them, but it is my very humble opinion that it should not be the first step. There are so many things that you can do to support your body and to support your kids when they are sick, that these, yes, they are quick fixes. Yes, they are convenient. Yes, they allow us to get back to work or back to doing what we think we need to be doing. But these quick fixes end up hurting us in the long run because they don't allow the body to get rid of the virus or the bacteria or whatever it is that is keeping us sick. So that's all. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully I wasn't on my soapbox too much, but I really, if you or your kids are going through this sickness, if they've been exposed, I know this time of year is especially high for germs, and kids pick all sorts of things up from school and from friends and from the library and from wherever. But there are lots of tools that are available to help you. Number one is rest. Use a heating pad as possible, a bath with magnesium salts and an ozone bubbler. Oxygenate your body in any way that you can, right? That's why I use the ozone bubbler. Take a shower, just like let the water rush over you, wash away whatever is keeping you sick. And just mentally let go of that. As the shower water washes over you, just let go of, okay, this is keeping me sick, but I'm going to let it go, right? Mentally tell yourself, I'm letting it go. Drinking electrolytes, using a red light sauna, choosing easy to digest foods that sound really good, ginger and peppermint tea, and just be there. Be there for your kids. Find ways to be a bit more tender. Give them extra love and comfort right now. And hopefully your kids or you or your husband will be feeling better soon. The sickness that we had was very contagious, and it kind of just went through everybody. I'm not huge on labels. Like, I don't need to know what this illness is. I just know that I am going to try and stay away from people as much as possible, and I'm going to rest, and I'm going to take care of my body, and I'm going to take my vitamins, and I'm going to wash my hands. And that is the best that we can do. But our bodies are so amazing. They have so many different ways of helping us to heal. And even though they're gross and they're uncomfortable and it hurts and it sucks and it's very uncomfortable, our bodies are so smart. So trust the process, trust your body, trust that intuition that tells you maybe a hot pad would be really good, or trust that intuition for yourself and for your kids. And I wish you the best. I hope that if you are going through this illness, that it passes for you quickly. And hopefully any of these tools are helpful to you. There's a discount code in the show notes for the ozone bubbler, the red light sauna, and the electrolytes. Hopefully that's helpful. Maybe you can add some of these tools slowly over time to your toolkit, to your healthy home, healthy environment toolkit. I love you, and I will talk to you next week.